Hey everybody, it's Noel from Figure This Customs, back with another action figure video, and today I'm going to be doing a Dan Larson style Toy Galaxy kind of ranking video where I show everything that I've bought for the year and try and pick and pull things out as I try and narrow it down to a top 10 action figures of 2020 so far, because the year isn't really over. There's still a couple figures that we have to get before the end of the year that we're all probably looking forward to, but for now, this is a pretty good representation of just a lot of the figures that came out this year. And this is the first year where I've kind of been able to like buy pretty much everything from each company. So praise the Lord for that. And yeah, I want to try and not make this video too long, so I want to try and get right into it. And again, these aren't really in any particular like position or order right now. I really just kind of threw everything in kind of where it would fit on the table, and I will try and organize them as we go. The only ones that are in a position are these three. These are just kind of my three predictions right here for most other people's top 10 lists. I have a feeling, an inkling, just based on what I see on Instagram and on Facebook and just figures that people seem to have generally universally loved over the board. I think these three right here are going to be in a lot of people's top 10s. Of course, the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Snake Eyes, the Mafex Batman Hush, and the new Marvel Legends Retro Spider-Man with the new engineered body. And of course, I think the Mafex Dark Knight Returns can probably be interchanged with the Mafex Batman Hush figure. But anyway, we need to start pulling out some figures. It's going to be really difficult because, honestly, as crazy as things have been for 2020, it has been a pretty baller year for action figures. We have really got some of the best things coming out this year and even more stuff down the line. So yeah, it's going to be real difficult for me to really narrow things down, but I think we can start pulling some of the Marvel Legends just as I pull things out. I will try and talk about them. Really glad we got Phantom X this year. This was actually this character back on the old Hasbro one. That was the first Marvel Legend I ever bought. So this is actually a super cool update, and he seems really easy to pull out right now, but I just don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of nostalgia in this guy for me. Yeah, and this is another thing. As you can obviously see on a lot of my figures, they have been modified because I am a customizer and I love to just get the most out of my figures. So like this is not the stock version of the Spider-Man. I bought another Spider-Man figure so I could give him wall crawling hands because he unfortunately did not come with those. And I got the Raft Spider-Man so I could put the head on the body because I much prefer this kind of Todd McFarlane style face mask to the heads that we got in that. So is it fair for me to rank this figure considering that I bought like two other figures to make it this way? And the same way with this Snake Eyes, this is the standard Snake Eyes, but I replaced the guns. Yeah, I replaced the machine gun and the pistol with the pistol from the exclusive Snake Eyes, and I swapped out the head with the exclusive Snake Eyes, and I got this scarf from like a fodder bin. So this isn't really a stock figure either. And so I was talking to somebody else about this a little bit earlier this week. Just the whole idea of like, should I include figures in my top 10 if they have been modified? And I think it's totally fair to do that. You just have to take into consideration how good the base figure is. Because both of these base figures, without the modifications, I think lots of people still enjoy them. You know, and just because I did something here and there to like modify a figure doesn't necessarily knock it out of the running for one of the top 10 of 2020. But there are other cases, of course, where I think I've modified the figure so extensively that it's just no longer the same figure, or like the reasons that I love it aren't for the reasons that I love the original figure, if that even makes any sense. You know, so like, for example, we have, Mando right here. Super cool looking figure, super slick. Love the Beskar version. And like, yeah, for one reason, it is mostly, it's not exactly a repaint. You know, it's a redeco of like the base underparts, but new armor bits and paint scheme was added. But honestly, yeah, when I first got this figure, I didn't have the original Mando figure. I actually really didn't like it. I didn't like the plastic cape, so I got this cape from GPS Lot, and now it's one of my favorite figures. But because I didn't like the original figure, I think I'm going to have to pull him out for the running of top 10 of 2020, just because it wasn't until I got a wired cape that I was really able to enjoy this guy. So, love you, Mando, but you're going out of here. You're getting done. Let's push you out to the side. Another figure like that, yeah, the Mezco What's this guy's name? Nosferatu. Yeah, super cool figure. Really well done. But yeah, once you get a head swap to switch it to a different character, I think that eliminates him from the running. I really wanted a Scarecrow, and thanks Nosferatu, you gave me a perfect Mezco Scarecrow, but I don't care about Nosferatu, so I'm sorry. I can't recommend necessarily the figure. It is a good figure, but for my taste, he's not one of the top 10. 2020. Electro, you're out of here. He's a decent enough figure. He's fine. He definitely fills the spot that he needs to on the shelf, but nothing super impressive. Similar case, this is a Bane figure that I built this year on a Storm Collectibles Golden Axe Battler. Is that what it's called? Am I making that? I totally forgot the name of the figure. Yeah, it came out this year. It came with like the dragon and the sword. The guy looked like Conan the Barbarian, kind of. He's just very basic figure, but I saw it and I was like, this is going to be the perfect build for my Mezco style Bane. So yeah, I love this figure, but not because it's the Axe Battler, but because I was able to build a custom Bane off of it. So sorry, Axe Battler. Thanks for your sacrifice for the collection. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, Punisher. This is the Punisher from the Riders Wave. Pretty awesome figure. I really love the sculpt on the arms, and just the reuse of the Luke Cage body is fine. It's okay. I think it works. I really like the arms on this guy. They're really big, really buff looking, kind of like he looked in Punisher War Journal. On the covers of those, but I did not like the heads. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love them, but I really did not like them. I thought they were too big. They look kind of like troll heads, and so I replaced them with my favorite Punisher head sculpt, which is the old Marvel Knights Punisher head sculpt. I don't think that Hasbro has done a better head sculpt than this one as far as Punisher goes. So swapped that out, gave him a custom coat. He's got custom holsters actually all over him, so that's pretty sweet. You can store his gun inside there on his shoulder holster. He's got his double barrel shotgun on that leg. It's got a little pouch right there for ammunition, and these are custom weapons as well. So yeah, just again, a lot has been modified to make me love this thing as much as I did. But the Riders figure is still cool, but if I wasn't gonna have the extra head sculpt and these extra weapons and accessories, I probably wouldn't have bought it. So yeah, this is another similar case with like Scarecrow over there. This is just the Mezco Golden Skull figure. Is that what it's called? House of the Golden Skull. Really sweet figure, honestly, and can't stand up on its own merit, but I don't know. I'm not like the big Gomez universe fan. I don't collect those figures at all. I just saw this cool ninja body and was like, oh, it's time to make my Mezco Ra's al Ghul, because I actually really love the I love Batman Begins. That's probably my favorite Batman movie, and I love Liam Neeson, and I just love the design for the character. Very simplistic and ninja-esque. So kind of combined comic book Jim Lee head with, I guess, Christopher Nolan Batman Ra's al Ghul design. And I really love it. I really love it. And a lot of the credit goes to the super awesome Mezco Golden Skull figure, but again, I wouldn't have bought that if I wasn't going to change it. So sorry, buddy. You're going out. Let's see here. Bucky. Almost said Bucky Cap. No, yeah, we finally have a Bucky that is not Bucky Cap. This figure is actually really cool. It's pretty awesome. I know some people were underwhelmed by the reuse of like the Punisher legs, but I think for what we got, like this guy really, he serves his purpose. You know, more so than like Electro or just other figures that were just kind of repaints. I think he kind of stands out a little bit more. So we'll actually put him back. Before we pull him out, we'll pull Mysterio here. And this figure looks so good. Honestly, this is the preferred version over the last one. I really love what they did with this figure. It just looks super good with the black wash and everything, and the gold and the opaque helmet. That was actually the thing that drove me the most crazy about the last Mysterio release, was that he had the transparent helmet. And I was like, that's just stupid. Why would they do that? So this figure is really awesome, but I think, I don't know. For my philosophy, a repaint doesn't necessarily give it a spot for top 10 of 2020. If it is just a redeco from a figure made last year, right? So a lot of the credit for what makes this figure good was from that previous figure, which was good in its own right. It just needed a different color scheme to take it up a notch. So I think for that reason, I'm going to have to eliminate him. Yeah, and then, yeah, here's kind of an elephant in the room. The Doctor Doom, one of the best Marvel Legends really ever released, honestly. Mine is a little modified. I cut the skirt a little bit. I don't know if you can tell that. Just took an X-Acto knife, cut around the skirt. Just because in most of the comics, his skirt doesn't go too low. It kind of goes to the middle of the thigh. Sometimes it's even shorter than this, but I just didn't want it to be a lot. I didn't want it to be like flush with the holster or shorter than the holster, so I just kind of cut it a little bit at mid-thigh, and I think that makes it look a little better. I like the way it just fills out the proportions better. You can see more of the silver on his legs and everything. So, and this figure on its own, even without that slight mod, is super, super cool. It's so awesome. And definitely a must-have for everybody, but it's just unfortunate that this wave came out at the tail end of 2019, even though it was set for a 2020 release. So everybody pretty much had this guy in 2019, even when they were making their top 10 of 2019 videos. So it's unfortunate because he kind of fits in between the years almost, you know, like people had him in 2019, he was set for a 2020 release, and so it's just a technicality. So just for the sake of not giving up a spot for one of these really awesome figures, he gets kind of an honorable mention. He's super awesome and one of the best Marvel Legends ever, so I'm going to pull him out. And for the same reason, I guess the Super Skrull Build-A-Figure. Again, super awesome Build-A-Figure, really, really cool. From that same wave, really, really awesome, really glad I have him. But because he kind of slipped in between 2019 and 2020 and exists in both time periods, yeah, I'm just going to set him to the side, but he is really, really awesome. Okay, what else? Okay, where am I floating? Yeah, it's hard for me to love, and this is just an action figure thing. It's hard for me to really love a female Marvel Legends figure, just most of the time, just because they haven't really gone above and beyond with the sculpt or changed many things up. And so whenever we do get figures that do change things up a bit, like this Black Widow, which came with all the different bracelet accessories and things like that, and the jetpack and stuff, like it felt like a better purchase than when I normally buy a Marvel Legends female, which if I love the character, I'm like, oh yeah, I have to buy that character. But I always feel like I'm getting a little gypped from the lack of engineering, the lack of design elements. So hopefully the female figures will continue to move in this direction. But yeah, still to this day, even though this is definitely my favorite female Marvel Legends figure of the year, I don't think she's going to knock out any of the figures off this list. So really cool figure, glad it came out. And this is actually my favorite look for Black Widow in the comics as well, so I guess I'm a little biased in that sense. But yeah, I really love this short-haired head sculpt. It's just gorgeous. She will be put to the side. Who else? Doomslayer. Mcfarlane Toys, man, they are killing it in a lot of ways, and this Doomslayer is super, super cool. I modded mine a little bit. I took off the little grappling hook. Right now I'm playing through Doom 2016. I'm having an absolute blast, and this is the Doom Eternal look, so I actually don't know a ton about the design of this armor, the function of this. I popped out the little, I don't know, little Predator style gun. That's what it reminded me of, the little shoulder-mounted blaster that Predator has. But yeah, this figure looks super good, and the paint apps on it are awesome. The sculpt is incredible. But yeah, I think the articulation is really where this guy suffers. The fact that he doesn't really have a functioning bicep swivel. He can't hold his weapon with two hands, which is just it's just a basic pose you want for a character like this who does it very regularly. And the rest of him articulates fine, but yeah, there's a lot of ways that he's hindered. But he is probably one of the best looking Mcfarlane Toys figures from the year for sure. So really love the character. I'm really enjoying Doom 2016. Can't wait to play Doom Eternal. But we're going to take you out, Doom guy. What other? We got some other Mcfarlane figures back here. We have the White Knight Batman. As you can see from all the articulation, this is one of the reasons I'm pulling him out. Every time I articulate him, the yellow from the belt rubs off onto the chest. And also onto the leg. And that's just a big bummer, because I love to pose my figures and play with my toys. And yeah, it's not really a big deal because I can just take some acetone and remove it. I just need to figure out a fix to make it so that the yellow on this belt doesn't always rub off. But yeah, also for a lot of the Mcfarlane figures, I always modify them to have thigh swivel. I will be taking that out of consideration. I'll try to consider the figures pre-modded, just because I know that not everybody can mod their own figures or get their figures modded. So I'll try and keep into consideration like just the figures on their own merit. But yeah, I think the White Knight figures are probably also some of the best that Mcfarlane is doing. Just Sean Murphy, for one, is my favorite comic book artist, I think, at this point. And I love his designs, and I love the White Knight book, and this figure just nails the look so incredibly. But it definitely lacks as far as, yeah, just, I don't know, just this whole little bit here is the one thing that makes me a little nervous. Also, I did replace the fists on it. A buddy of mine gave me the tip to use the animated series Batman that Mcfarlane did and kind of modify the fists and take the pegs from that so that he can have 2 fisted hands and 2 open hands. So that was a pro tip that I really, again, took this figure up a notch. But just the one little problem there, and I guess some of the modifications I did, I'm going to take this guy on. Super awesome figure, but yeah, same for, here we go. Batman Who Laughs. Again, another one of the best looking Mcfarlane figures that you can get right now. Just the sculpt is impeccable. The paint on it is great. It's just such such a recent character, but already so iconic. I did mod the head so that the neck sits up appropriately. On its own, the figure's head is really yeah, it's essentially like that. It's buried in the collar, but I modified the neck to make it a little longer so that it kind of sticks out more proportionally, fills out the figure a bit better. So yeah, and so for that reason, I can't really recommend the figure without doing that mod. I haven't done the thigh swivels on this guy yet, but I think his articulation is pretty good, other than the lack of thigh swivels and the head being buried in the collar. But super good looking figure. What else? Yeah, over here we have, I forget who I saw do this. Somebody did this on Instagram already. They just took the DC Collectibles designer series Greg Capullo, Jim Gordon head, and they put it on this body, and I was like, that looks so good. And yeah, I'm gonna take it. And Jack Napier, again, I love the White Knight book, but Jack Napier Joker was not a character that I was like, oh, I need him on my shelf so bad. Definitely not more than I would need Jim Gordon. So this is a simple enough kit bash that it makes me really love the Jack Napier body a ton, just because the proportions work really great and the skin tones already match. And I also just love Greg Capullo. He's one of the best artists in the game, and his designs were always super cool. So that works out really nicely. But again, I probably wouldn't have picked up the figure had I not had this head sculpt to use. So off to the side you go. Oh goodness, this is where the rubber meets the road. Pyro, you're pretty cool. I like the new parts he used on. He was a pretty basic figure. He looks really good because the paint on him is super clean and crisp. And yeah, just the color combo is really awesome. But I mean, I don't know. I'll probably pull out something else before him. Yeah, let's go. Okay, Blade. So this is actually just a kind of kit bashed Blade. I bought the original Blade a while ago when it came out. I forget, was it 2 years ago, a year ago? This is obviously the MDX exclusive one that came out this year, with the vest and the thigh holster and like the extra bald heads and the red sunglasses and everything. And I just kind of kit bashed between that one and the original Mezco Blade figure to make the perfect Blade figure. So, and yeah, I didn't see. I don't know if I saw any reviews where anyone showed that you could put the jacket over the vest. All I had to do was cut off the little sword holder piece, and I just kind of glued that to the back of this jacket since there is no magnet on this figure. And I don't really mind that because I think I want to display him with the jacket on, and the sword will be on his back like that, and the vest will be on. So, but yeah, the jacket fits nicely over that once you cut off that little piece. And again, I just needed this version just because it was the more complete looking version, so you could have like the iconic Blade that I know. You can take the jacket off so you can have the iconic sleeveless vest look. And and the more Wesley Snipes looking head. And yeah, I mean, a lot of my love for the character Blade just comes from the Wesley Snipes movies, so I'm not like a big Blade comic book fan or anything. But this is a super cool figure, but again, I had to purchase 2 figures to kind of make this guy perfect, so can't really recommend one or the other on their own as much as I can recommend this guy. So taking him out for the running. Okay. Oh man. See, and that's the other thing. Like all these figures, don't get me wrong, just because I pulled something out doesn't mean it's a bad figure. I don't buy things that I don't like. Okay, you know, I only buy things that I either am invested in or the characters are just so cool. I gotta have it or try it out. And so, yeah, all the figures that I've pulled out are probably figures that I loved. I think I just pulled out the ones that either maybe some weren't as impressive in some areas as others, or I just modified them enough to where it's like it's pretty much a different figure at this point, and I can't just recommend the stock version. And so for that reason, I think, oh, he's getting snagged on everybody. So this is my sort of custom kit bashed Old Man Hawkeye right here. I love the original Old Man Logan book by Mark Millar, and I just love Old Man Hawkeye. He's probably my favorite thing about that book. And I know this version is technically from the Old Man Hawkeye book, which is also really good, but I think I will always prefer his look and design from Old Man Logan. So I try to get as close to that as I could. Again, it's not super accurate. It is kind of just a thrown together Apocalypse version of Hawkeye, but super cool. It took some Diamond Select parts for the, what is that even called? Quiver, goodness gracious. So he has the quiver on his back. He's got the quiver right here. He's got his katana. He's got his bow slung over. He's got his crossbow and his holster. He's got a machete. Just super awesome figure. And the head sculpts for Old Man Hawkeye are some of the best Marvel Legends has put out in recent years. Like, they're just so good. I used my other one, the non-blind man ones with the long flowy hair. I used that and repainted it for my Mezco Aquaman and really took that up a notch. So Marvel Legends Old Man Hawkeye definitely contributed a lot to the collection this year, but I definitely can recommend the stock figure, but because I've modified mine so much, I'm gonna have to take him out of the running. Okay, baby, here we go. Oh man, Storm Collectibles is always so hard because I actually love pretty much every Storm Collectibles figure I have, with the exception, this is so sad, because Raiden is probably my favorite Mortal Kombat character, and he looks really good for the most part. Again, I don't see a lot of reviewers talk about this, but if you've ever held like a Storm Collectibles figure, they have a certain quality to the finish on them that is just, they're just known for. I don't really know how to describe it, but Raiden doesn't have that same finish. Raiden has a very kind of thick, white, chalky paint. Maybe that shows up a little better on camera. It's a little discolored in some places, and it's like, yeah, prone to chipping a little bit more. And like on his neck, for whatever reason, anytime I articulate the figure, it like starts rubbing off. And so many reviews, luckily mine has not broken yet, but so many reviews I've seen have had just this little belt piece just snap, you know? And so all of those factors combined probably make him the first Storm Collectibles I've picked up that I'm disappointed in. Which is saying something, because they're one of my favorite companies and they've literally never let me down. But with Raiden, every time I'm just afraid to pick him up and play with him, which was one of my favorite things about Storm Collectibles. They're very solid figures, so I was never afraid to pose them and play with them and mess around with them. But Raiden, just everything from the little belt maybe snapping off to the paint chipping to the paint coming off on the neck to just, because otherwise the design of the figure is really, really awesome. And again, I love the character and stuff, but honestly I don't know if I'm gonna be holding on to this guy, so sorry Raiden. But again, which sucks, he's my favorite character from that franchise. And Scorpion and Sub-Zero, I was thinking about Scorpion because he's just a redeco of the Scorpion we got last year. Again, super cool figure. He definitely makes up for it in the accessories department. I think his accessories that he came with are probably better than the one that came with MK3 Scorpion, but he is just a redeco. So, sorry Sub-Zero, you're also going to be taken out of the running. But he doesn't have any of the problems that Raiden has. Goodness, his paint is awesome. It's got a very good finish to it. No worries about articulating this guy or moving him around at all. So he has that going for him. Yeah, let's try and close this up a little bit. We'll move you over here. Bucky's still here. Alrighty. Yeah, so many good Marvel Legends this year too. Now that I'm looking at it, they just really killed it. Oh baby. Man, I don't even know what I'm reaching for. I don't even know what I'm grabbing anymore. These are really good. I guess. Oh, Venom. See, this is the one thing that makes me want to break my whole if it's just a repaint, throw it out rule. Like, look how good it looks, man. The paint on this guy, the highlights. It just took an already good mold for the monster Venom Bath and just made it incredible. And I am admittedly, I'm not a big Venom fan. I've never really, he's probably one of my less favorite characters, ironically. I love Spider-Man, I love his Rogues Gallery, but Venom, I don't know what it is. He was never one of my favorites, but this figure just really made me love the character a lot more, and it's just very impressive, which is a lot to say since it's just a repaint, but it does tempt me to break my repaint rule, but for the sake of consistency, I think I'll take him out. Such a good repaint though, so well worth it. Oh man, okay, we're getting down to the wire here. We still have a lot here, and I think I actually knocked over Mezco Harley Quinn. Ugh. Who is just such a gorgeous little figure. She's so good. It's actually so bright you can't even see her face because of how bright her white face paint is. But yeah, Mezco is another one of my favorite companies. They're kind of a company that can do no wrong in a sense. And however, this was my first female Mezco figure, and I'd heard that they were really fragile, but I hadn't had a figure break on me in a long time, so I was like, I wasn't worried about it. And as soon as I pulled her out of the box, popped the hand off, and the peg came out with it, and it snapped. And so I was super scared because I was like, no, I just bought this $80 figure. It was like a $100 figure, actually. Like, bought this $100 figure, and it broke immediately, but luckily, Bill Maher Toy Mechanics, one of the greatest guys in the toy community, I reached out to him, and he was able to get it fixed up for me. So if you have a broken figure, message him. He's literally one of my favorite people. He's so cool, so down to earth, really easy to talk to, and he's a wizard when it comes to remaking joints and fixing them so that they function properly, so that you don't have to go rebuy a whole new figure. But yeah, Mezco Harley Quinn is great, but similar to Marvel Legends, Mezco just sort of is refusing to update or get very innovative with their female figures, which is unfortunate because I don't want to not like female figures. I want to love female figures as much as I love the male figures from any company, but if the company themselves doesn't put in the effort to make them as good, then, that'll show in the final figure. So, yeah. And I love Harley Quinn. She's a great character, and I love that they went with the classic design for this one, and definitely a must-have for my shelf, but I don't think I can recommend her more strongly over any of these here. So, sorry, Harley. Hope you don't break on me just sitting on the ground over there. Okay, here we go. Oh man. I think I'm looking at these guys. I don't know why. My eyes are being drawn to Pyro and to Sunfire, who I always loved Pyro. When I was a kid, watching the X-Men movies growing up. I just thought he was so unique, like there's lots of different fire characters in the Marvel universe. You got Sunfire, you got Sunspot, you have Human Torch. I just really loved Pyro because he was so unique in that he couldn't create the flames, he could only manipulate them, which is why he wears the harness on his back, or in the movies, I guess he just carries a lighter around, and I just thought that was so neat. Like, I was just like, that's a unique way to make his powers just not like generic fire dude, or whatever. But even then, I still love the design of Age of Apocalypse, Sunfire so much. Like, oh my gosh, it was probably one of the best redesigns of any character I'd ever seen. It was just so cool. But I don't know. I really like both of these figures a ton, but I think I'm going to pull both of them out just because there's other stuff here that is really, really impressive. Oh, goodbye, fire boys. Okay. This is where it's getting a little hard. I'm having a hard... My eyes aren't snapping to anyone. Putting them on the chopping block. But we still have too many figures here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I lost count already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. like 23 figures. Yeah, that doesn't even look like that many, but it's so much. Okay. Yeah, Bucky, you're a good figure, but you're gonna go. Oh man. Again, I'm not a big. Oh, is everybody leaning on Carnage? Is that the only thing keeping us alive? We'll just set you guys up real quick. There you go. Cool. Yeah, so this Carnage figure, I picked this up like the other day, and man, I was blown away. Okay, because like the last Carnage figure we got was just the Bucky Cap mold, which I don't hate the Bucky Cap mold. I actually have a lot of love and respect for the Bucky Cap. But it is just so nice when we get dedicated sculpt to a figure. And like, look at this. It's so intricate. He has like the muscle lines and contours of the suit and just the Venom symbiote, the Carnage symbiote all over him. And even on the head. Okay, I wasn't expecting it on the head or the hands. The hands looked like they were remolded as well as the head, but those also have the textured sculpt on there as well. And so even though he doesn't come with any accessories other than the, I think the Absolute Carnage head, or whatever that version is called, I'm not actually sure. He doesn't come with very many accessories at all. He just looks so good because they really went the extra mile, and they gave him the butterfly joints, and so he ends up being one of the most impressive Marvel Legends of the year for sure. But again, I'm just not a big symbiote guy. But I gotta give a shout out to Hasbro for killing it with this guy. They really stepped it up a notch. Kind of with the Venom. Again, not being a big symbiote guy, these two are some of my favorites of the year, Carnage and Venom. So, and that feels good to say. So, but I'm gonna take him out right now. And I guess I can take out. Ooh. Oh, I don't know. ShangChi is super cool, okay? Like, the fact that we got every hand option possible that you could possibly want with this guy, and he had the butterfly joints and the fixed arms, okay? This is a thing, like, lots of figures use this torso, right, for Marvel Legends, and lots use these butterfly joints that are really cool and smooth. None of those figures use these perfect arms, okay? Most of the figures have, if I have an example, yeah. So most of them, can't tell as well because of the flames on his shoulders right here, but most of them, they have a big noticeable gap between the top of the shoulder and, well, I guess the top of the, what is that? It's like part of the neck almost, and then the actual shoulder is like a lot lower. These shoulders are seamless because they're not the same sculpt. They're more muscular, they're a little broader, and they rise up to meet this part of the shoulder a little more seamlessly, right? And so not only do they look better, they also still function perfectly as well. Like, they don't jam up against each other. They can move all the way in. They don't scrape against each other, which is just super cool. And then the elbows also bend in farther than 90 degrees, which was one of the other things that drove me crazy about this, I guess, Sunfire / Spidey 2099 / Bullseye body, is that it gave us double joints, but they really don't bend in farther than 90. Just maybe a little bit. So I don't have any clue why, if they're using this torso still, why are they not using the ShangChi style arms? That's just a side note, neither here nor there. But that's kind of why he gets to be, he's still up here after all this time. Like, you really felt like you were getting your money's worth. Even if ShangChi's like a lesser known character, like, they got brand new sculpt for the pants. And again, he came with all the hands you could want. He really felt like a deluxe figure almost. And he came with the nunchucks, both versions, and just, man, it was awesome. ShangChi is so great. Such a good figure for this year. I think I'm going to have to take him off, though, for no real reason other than there's just other stuff I love here more. But, man, he was really, really good. And moving forward, they should definitely, you guys, Marvel Legends, you should definitely use these ShangChi style arms for any figure that uses this torso setup. He is essentially the perfect articulated Marvel Legend. Like, maybe a little more range in the hips, or maybe if he had the kind of drop-down style hips that Snake Eyes and Spider-Man have, like, maybe then he would be perfect. But yeah, he's such a good figure. He's so awesome. Yeah, so okay, we only have 2 Marvel Legends left. We got 3 Marvel Legends, a couple Marvel Legends, 4 Marvel Legends, a couple Mafex, a Mezco. Yeah, the Mezco Supreme Knight. Ooh, baby. It's so good. It's a really awesome figure. It's so cool. Oh, man. Storm Collectibles. Oh gosh, I can see why Dan Larson has such a hard time doing this. You love so many things. Maverick is one of the best Marvel Legends of the year for sure. I don't know anything about the character. I did learn recently that because I knew who Agent Zero was. I knew the version, and I also knew the version from X-Men Origins Wolverine. I had no clue that was this guy. You know, I knew this guy just from the images from like the animated series. And I went back and watched the animated series, so I know him from that, but I never read a comic with Maverick in it or anything. I had no clue that he went on to become Agent Zero. So that's kind of a neat little tidbit. I'd always assumed he was kind of like Cable or Forge or something, or Bishop, like a time traveler tech guy, hence the cybernetic or something. But yeah, turns out he's just like a CIA agent, and this is what the most advanced CIA tech during the 90s looked like, I suppose. But super awesome and iconic design, and I tell you, man, Hasbro killed it. Like, it's so good. All this new dedicated sculpt, the awesome ball joint, double ball joint in the torso. It's so welcome and so encouraged to keep using that for future Marvel Legends. He really articulates all the ways that you could want. The only thing I don't like is the fact that they reused Star-Lord's handgun. Just because, like, these are pretty iconic to Star-Lord, and yeah, I mean, I know that for the most part it seems interchangeable as far as, like, just generic, over-the-top 90s weaponry goes. You can just use whatever guns, but yeah, I think I would have preferred if they had used something else other than Star-Lord's gun, because that makes Star-Lord's gun feel a little less special, but that's like a small, really small nitpick. This figure really, again, is articulated well, the design is awesome, and it's just really cool to see them go all out for a kind of more obscure character. But yeah, definitely one of the best of 2020, but I don't think he's going to stick in my top 10. Oh, goodness, man. Oh, baby. Let's bring some of these other boys forward. Come here. There you go. Move this stuff around. Okay. Man, again, Storm Collectibles, with the exception of Raiden, every figure that I pick up from them is just flawless. I just love them so much. The King of Fighters line is interesting because it introduces some new elements for characters that are dressed like this, and for Heyo Kusanagi. The fact that they wear kind of like nicer clothes, and they're not just like, you know, big buff guys wearing sleeveless shirts like most of the other Storm Collectibles figures, like be it Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. These guys are they're very well dressed, very prim and proper. It has these really cool shoulder joints where the rubber torso still meets the outside, and even when you articulate it, it still looks good. It still functions similarly to the system that they've used. It's gotten rid of the traditional shoulder piece and then separate piece for the bicep to swivel, and has just incorporated it all in there so that the sculpt still looks as seamless as they can get it while still functioning similarly and properly for all the iconic poses you want to do. So that was actually a really cool thing that the King of Fighters line did. And I think even for Heyo Kusanagi, his was actually, he had a shoulder joint and then a sleeve that went over the separate bicep piece, and that would articulate underneath the sleeve. So that was really, really cool as well. But yeah, this again, I really think Storm Collectibles can do no wrong. Every time that they sculpt a figure, it's just perfect. Like, there's nothing I have, any complaints I want. They give you all the accessories you could want, and they're just amazing. So it's hard for me to ever take off a Storm Collectibles figure, because I feel like I could just have an entire list full of all these figures. So Iori, you're going out, and I guess by proxy, Terrence. Oh man, this is what I was really excited for. He's like the flagship boy, you know, for Fatal Fury and for King of Fighters. He's just such an iconic character, and they really went all out with him and his accessories and the head options and just the paint, the sculpt, and everything, and a little more traditional as far as the actual articulation and scheme setup, right? Being a big, muscular, sleeveless character, but definitely one I had to pick up, and glad that I did. But yeah, we're gonna pull Terry. Sorry, Terry. Yeah, I love all these figures, but we've got to narrow it down a little bit. Okay, here we go. You can see there's a lot of Batman over here. Batman is absolutely my favorite. That's never going to change. But Yeah, I need to narrow down some of these Batman. Oh man, and yeah, like I said earlier, the Mafex, Dark Knight Returns Batman and the Mafex Hush Batman both are incredible, and both instilled in me the confidence to be a Mafex buyer. I actually hadn't bought any Mafex before this guy. I had bought a Mafex Wolverine to customize, but I just needed parts from it, so it wasn't really a problem when it broke on me. But it still interested me enough to where I was like, okay, I gotta buy these Batman figures because I love Batman so much and see if they're worth it at all. But yeah, Hush is my favorite design and definitely my favorite. It's my favorite comic book ever written. Probably my favorite thing ever written of all time. It's what got me into this hobby. It's what got me into Batman and comic books and toys and everything. So I owe a ton to that book, and I'd always wished that they made a definitive Hush Batman, and then they came along and they did. I think objectively, the Dark Knight Returns figure is better in some regards, just as far as the actual scaling of it. The sculpt work on it, the paint work even. The head sculpts are good. I think they don't look quite old enough for my taste, or they don't look, or at least they look like they don't look like Frank Miller's art, if that's what I'm saying. Like it's definitely supposed to be Dark Knight Returns Batman. I think they could have done something to make him look a little older. Frank Miller drew him with a lot of age lines in the face, so I think that would have been nice. That's like the one thing I think over this figure, but I think just as far as actual pickup and playability, this guy's a little easier to pick up and play with than the Hush one. But so he may be the objectively better figure, but I'm going to take him off because I'm going to have one Mafex Batman for always and forever. I'm going to have this one, okay? This one just felt like it was specifically made for me. The biggest Hush fan of all time. I'm so excited to finally have one that I didn't make myself. So that feels really, really great. Thank you, Mafex. Oh boy. Okay. How many is it? 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. So we have 16 figures. Got to get rid of 6 figures still. And again, all these figures are so good. But for the sake of the video, we got to start moving things along. Okay, Jazzwares Halo figure. Dude, this Jazzwares figure looks so awesome. Jazzwares / Wicked Cool Toys. Man, I love it so much. It really looks just so iconic and incredible. And a lot of that credit probably goes to the people who designed the Halo Infinite suit, just because they are harkening back to the original Master Chief suits, specifically from Halo 2 and Halo 3. And then, of course, we have 1000 Toys Master Chief. A great figure in its own regard. I don't think it evokes the same iconography, honestly, just because they took some liberties with the design. It doesn't evoke that same nostalgic feeling that this one does. But in the same way, they both are definitely Master Chief, and there are things I really like a lot more about this figure than this one, and there are things I like a lot more about this figure than this one. So it is kind of a toss-up as far as which one will be my definitive one. That remains to be seen. I'm actually sending this off to Bill Maher to see if he can fix the little peg situation in the hands. Just the pegs are so small, the hands fall off all the time whenever I'm posing him. But other than that, this is the superior functional figure, even if this one is the superior just as far as the look and the iconic design. So that's really tough. I think for now I'm going to give it to 1000 Toys. The Jazzwares one is great, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to give it to 1000 Toys for right now, just because I imagine once the little wrist peg thing is fixed, this is still going to be my reigning Master Chief. In my head, I thought this wasn't going to be as big a problem. Gosh, dang it, man. I still need to get rid of 5 more? You for real right now? That's so ridiculous. Oh, man. 1000 Toys. Abe, he's really good. Oh, my gosh, he's perfect. This is one of those things where 1000 Toys, once again, just ripped it right from the source material and made it perfectly. And I can't even believe it. Which is interesting, because I think they took a lot more liberties with this design than they did with this. This is just straight up personified Mike Mignola's art. This, they changed a lot of elements as far as the color and just overall design for the figure goes. So yeah, definitely, I gotta keep Abe in here. Dante, 1,000 Toys is quickly becoming probably one of my favorite companies alongside Storm Collectibles and Mezco. Like, they just really knock it out with every release. Again, ripped straight from the source material from Devil May Cry 5. It's a really, really awesome figure. The knee joints are probably what people complain about the most. They're very unsightly. And that was something they kind of addressed with the Master Chief figure, that they have the articulated knee pads that cover up the sort of, I guess, the ugliness created by the joint. I don't mind that kind of stuff really that much. I just know that's something that other people mentioned about this figure. And I guess of the ones here, of these 1,000 Toys figures, I guess we'll take Dante out? Is that who I'm doing? Oh, man. Dante's so good. But, yeah, we'll take Dante out. We'll take him out. Just because I think, as great as the design is from Devil May Cry 5, I think the iconic look for him comes from some of the earlier games. And now, even though I say that, maybe I'll even take Master Chief out. I am sending this figure to be modified so that he will be better, and then, that'll be. So, I guess I should take him out for that reason. So, okay, cool. We're getting there. Oh, baby. Lobo Iron Giant. Oh gosh. Okay. So just 2 more, right? Am I losing my mind? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13. Okay, 3 more. 3 more out of here, and then we're good. Gosh dang it, man. All of these are such good figures. Oh, goodness. Can I please? Oh, man. Dude. I just don't even know what to do. What is this? If I had to. Snake Eyes has been modified pretty thoroughly, but he is one of the best of the year, for sure. He's a little floppy in some places, which is interesting, but this copy is actually not too bad. Just the engineering that went into this guy is really, really incredible, but I don't think I would have kept him on my shelf. I'm not a big G.I. Joe guy, and if I hadn't gotten the exclusive version and the regular version and replaced the guns and everything, I probably wouldn't have kept Snake Eyes on my shelf. Again, not because he's not a good figure, but because of just my personal attachment to it. But after I kind of made this version from the parts that I had, he's grown very fast to me. But yeah, because I modified him so much, I'm sorry. And I know that's going to crush a lot of people's hearts because this is their favorite figure of all time and everything. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to take Snake Eyes off just because of how kit-bashed he has become. Okay. Now we're getting down to the wire, down to brass tacks. Oh. Took a dive. Okay. Man. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh gosh. Again, some of this again is tied to just the quality of the figure, probably like Mafex Hush Batman or Storm Collectibles Lobo, and some others are definitely tied more so to the just nostalgia, right? Like this being my first Marvel Legends figure that I ever got way back when it was on the terrible body. I don't even remember what it was. And now getting an updated version on the Bucky Cat body, which I love. Again, not a perfect figure. Definitely not the most impressive technically Marvel Legend of the year. And yet, it's just... it's so tied to my nostalgia. I love it so much. This is like, for me, this is like for Shartimus Prime, his the big time Spider-Man remake that he got, that was like signed by all the guys that work on the Marvel Legends. Like that's kind of what this figure represents for me. Like this is my finally they updated that figure that I loved so much, and yeah, like that's almost that transcends just the quality of the toy itself. That childlike wonder and nostalgia, and like that transcends most things. So man. Yeah, I can't keep... the list can't just be purely objective. Not for me, anyway, If you want to know the perfect figures to buy, I could tell you that, too. But just for my personal tastes and things that I love, I have a really hard time getting rid of any of these. I'll tell you right now, though. Yeah. Oh, gosh. I guess for that reason, well, I don't know. Do I? Oh, goodness, man. If it's a purely objective list, then yeah, we take out Phantom X, and we even take out the Diamond Select Iron Giant. The Iron Giant is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of the first movies I ever watched as a kid and cried during. Just made a really made an impact on me, and I love the character and the design. And this figure is designed really well. I think it owes a lot of its design to the original Mando figure, which I do have. Praise the Lord. But there are some things. The paint on this guy is honestly, yeah, the closer you get, the worse it looks. So from a distance, he looks great, but the paint on him is pretty shoddy. His joints are kind of wobbly. He's not a very heavy figure, which is ironic coming from Diamond Select. I usually expect their figures to be pretty hefty, but this guy feels very hollow. And so just the quality feel on him, even though he's a good figure, he articulates well, and he is so iconic in my head. The quality of him is not exactly... It's not as good as some of the other Iron Giants out there, like the 1,000 Toys one or the Mando one. So, yeah. If it was a purely objective list, I would take him out, and I would take out Phantom X. And then would we be good? We need one more? Or no? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 2 more. So that would be the perfectly objective list. Here's all the best figures of the year. If it wasn't objective and I had to keep in the things that I love because of the iconography, then probably honestly we'd take out the Mezco Supreme Knight. Again, a freaking incredible figure. Probably the best Batman that Mezco has ever done. Again, inspired by the Dark Knight Returns, but because I have the Moffax Dark Knight Returns one, I don't even think I would keep this one over that one, just because it's so good. And yeah, definitely one of the best of the year for sure. One of the best Batman figures ever made. But yeah, I mean, I'm just a comic book guy, you know, so if I have a comic book version that's closer to the source material, I'll generally adhere closer to that than I will the more stylized designs of some Mezco figures. So yeah, he would be out. And then, oh man, I know I mentioned that the Spider-Man figure is modified, but even without the modifications, I think I could still recommend him. I think a lot of people still are willing to enjoy the figure, even without the head, but I don't know. It's hard to ride the line between objective and subjective preference and everything, because all of these are so good. Oh man, I don't even know. I can't do it, and I've knocked over everything on my display. So just like I wanted. Spawn's definitely staying in. Azrael's freaking incredible. Gosh dang it, man, so many of these are awesome. I think I lost Hogarth. He probably tumbled over the table. I'll get him later, but oh my gosh, man. These are all perfect figures, honestly, in a lot of ways. So yeah, honestly, that's it. Yeah, it's my list. I'm ending it here. This is as far as I can go. I cannot choose anything above these. These are all so good. Unless, well, okay, well, I don't know. Okay. Sorry, Mezco. Batman, you're so awesome. I'm sorry. Okay. So here we go. We're getting there now, folks. Bear with me. I can't really readily take Spider-Man off the list, can I? I don't think so. Oh, man. Oh, goodness. Spidey. Goodness, I just don't know. Spidey has been modified. Would I have picked him? No, I wouldn't have. Okay, so yeah. I actually ordered from Pounds 978. I am Pounds 978 Customs. I ordered from him a while ago a custom Spider-Man on a Sunfire body for essentially this figure. I asked for a brighter blue paint job though, but he used the Scarlet Spider head because I love the big lenses on the mask, and it had all the hands that I wanted, and it was my perfect figure. And yeah, unless this figure had come with wall crawling hands and a different head sculpt, I probably wouldn't have picked it up, honestly. I would have just kept that custom one. And I still have that custom one. I actually put it in the vintage box. It looks really cool now, but yeah, this will serve as my Spidey on the display. But because I modified it and because I just have my crazy preferences, I'll also take another one of the best figures of the year off my top 10 list. This is so ridiculous. Anyway, why do we do this to ourselves? Okay, so as far as a ranking goes for these guys, again, all of these have such a special place in my heart. But I have to rank the ones that if I had to get rid of one after the other, where would they go? Oh, man. Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, so we'll put Iron Giant down at the bottom because again, his quality is questionable, even though he's super iconic and I love him. I do have the Mando one, so that would make it a lot easier to let go of. Oh gosh, this is where it gets a little crazy. I guess. No. Abe? Yeah? No? Abe? I can't say. I gotta keep things in perspective here, because I do have some custom Hush Batman figures, but... Oh, man. Oh, goodness. I don't even know what I'm doing now. Why am I even doing this? This is ridiculous. This Optimus Prime is definitely one of the best of the year. I have a Masterpiece style Optimus Prime. I have the KO, not the KO, I guess third party. I have the Transformers Element Op Leader, and that thing is just incredible. And like, yeah, it's fairly commonplace to be able to get a Masterpiece style Optimus that looks incredible in robot mode and in truck mode. But getting that down at this kind of the 6-inch scale, it's kind of unheard of, you know. And even the Siege line, they weren't perfect. They had like some kibble issues and design problems, and it seems like Hasbro is just perfecting them with the Earthrise line. It's just correcting the design things about them. And so, yeah, they really nailed it with Optimus and a couple of the other Earthrise figures. I have the Earthrise Starscream. He's really good. And I'll probably be picking up a lot of the other ones. And I love Transformers just so much. So this Optimus is just so incredible. I love the engineering. The transformation is simple. It's clean. It looks great in both modes. He's really, really good. Probably... Oh, man. Oh, gosh. All of these could kind of take the number one spot in a number of different ways. I guess we'll put Abe Sapien next. Just because he really is like a perfect figure, but yeah, I don't know, for what I came to expect from 1,000 Toys, didn't do anything super crazy innovative with him. Definitely looks great with my Hellboy. Love that figure. Glad I have Abe now. Ooh. Yeah. Marvel Legends War Machine. He's super awesome. Probably a perfect Marvel Legend, honestly. Probably my favorite of the year as far as Marvel Legends goes. Like, design on him is super cool. Looks great, feels great. Came with all the accessories you could want. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. If they continue doing these deluxe figures and they just come with everything that I would want them to come with, I'll pay the extra $5 to $10 or however much more expensive it is to make them that way. Like, the fact that he came with all the blast effects and everything that you could want to display him with was just perfect and just such a treat for an awesome character. So next is Marvel Legends War Machine. Oh, baby. Yeah, we'll go with Lim Toys Ahab, aka Venom Snake from Metal Gear Solid 5. Again, Lim Toys, super impressive third-party piece. Really, really cool. I got the S++ version that has all the gizmos and gadgets that you could want. The figure itself, is really good. He can do some basic poses, but just because of the way the tailoring is, and the tailoring is really good, it just restricts some of the articulation. He can be a little hard to stand up exactly the way you like him. But this is another one of those figures that I think a lot of people are enjoying right now, alongside Spider-Man and Moffick's Hush Batman and Snake Eyes. Like, this is one I see a lot of pictures of. Next up, yeah, well, whoo, baby. Oh gosh. I guess we'll go Optimus next, right? No. We'll go Azrael next. Azrael is so impressive, honestly. Such a surprise hit from Mcfarlane Toys. This is where it really seemed to be combining the paint and sculpt work that Mcfarlane was known for with the articulation that is becoming more common in figures. And just so many different design elements, from like the cape to the sword to the wash on the cloak. Like, this figure just really surprised me with how awesome it was. And Azrael was one of my favorite characters for the longest time, from when I read Batman Nightfall and just everything. I always thought the character was super dope. And yeah, again, Sean Murphy's design of him is flawless. So I really love that they translated that very well. Again, this is where it just gets pretty negligible as far as where you put each character. Oh my goodness. I guess we'll go with Spawn. I freaking love Spawn, dude. I've fallen in love with Spawn. He's such a cool character. It's an awesome design. I guess we'll go with Optimus next. Right? Yeah, this is a pretty good order. We'll just keep him right here. He is in the 6th spot. I guess 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. His 5th spot. I already talked about him. And then, man, Lobo really is the perfect action figure. Not a character that I was like super in love with, but a figure that just made it undeniable that I had to get it. And again, Storm Collectibles, they just killed it in every way. And I don't care for the Injustice designs of a lot of DC characters. Like, for the most part, I'll take almost any other design over the Injustice designs, but Lobo didn't veer too far off from his comic book look, so this definitely has a space on my shelf. So thanks, Storm Collectibles, for knocking it out of the park yet again. Yeah, he's probably next. Can't even see the rest of the characters behind him. He's just blocking out Abe so completely. Yeah. Yep, here we go. Phantom X, you made it up so high on the list, baby. Spawn, there you are. Yeah. This feels pretty good, I think. For the most part, yeah. I can live with this decision. I'll just spread these guys out a little bit more. Maybe you'll be able to see Abe behind how massive Lobo is. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, this is a pretty good list so far. I'll probably do an update one later on down the line when more figures come out, but we'll see if anyone can knock these off the list. And honestly, when I do that list, I may have just changed my entire mind about this. You know, some of these characters may just be wiped clean off the table, and other ones that I've already put down will be back or something. I don't know. There's just been so many good figures this year, you know what I mean? Like, it's just been such a good year for action figures, and it's been really, really awesome to be a collector. And all these figures are just so perfect. Again, the nostalgia thing ties so hard for me for Phantom X. Okay, not a super impressive. There's no way he's more impressive than I think any of the figures that he's coming after. But just like, again, it means so much to me to have a figure that I had as a kid remade in a more functional form, and just even the little smoke effects and blast effects, that was a really nice add-on. So again, he's all the way up here for nostalgia for a lot of reasons. But Spawn has become one of my favorite characters over this last year. Like I forget exactly how I got into reading Spawn, because I started doing custom Marvel Legends style Spawns, and that's really kind of where my Instagram page blew up from that. Shout out Just J Hernandez, just again, solid guy in the community who's just done a lot for me. I owe a lot to the character of Spawn, to just Todd McFarlane and his brainchild. Just like I started reading the comics for Spawn, I fell in love with the character and just everything about him. I mean, he's quickly risen from, again, I've been a comic book fan for years. He's already jumped to the top. He is my favorite character alongside Batman. Batman and Spawn, they're my favorite guys, so of course they're gonna make it to the top of the list, where McFarlane Toys they really went all out for their boy here, which I just love to see. Even though it's a video game design, it's just really, really good looking. Pretty not too far off, from just what a classic kind of comic book Spawn would look like. And if in the new movie, when it does come out, Todd McFarlane, when it does come out, if Spawn has a design similar to this, I will not mind one bit. I think it really would translate pretty well to screen. And of course, was there ever any doubt? Was there any other figure that could come at number 1 spot other than the Mafex Hush Batman? I mean, just look at this guy. He looks so good. And again, I owe all that I am in the geek and nerd and dork world to Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb for their work, and Alex Sinclair and everyone who worked on the Batman Hush title, because man, it's just exploded in my mind, and I lost all sense for what was real and good, and I only wanted more comics, more Batman, more superheroes. And that was just such a special thing to me. This has grown to be such a special hobby, as far as being a toy collector and comic book reader and all of that stuff. And it all comes back to this character, this design, this story, and this is like a continuation of that. And the fact that Mafex seems to be doing most of the characters from Batman Hush just makes me so excited to be a toy collector. I really am in a golden era of entertainment and action figure collecting. So yeah, there was never any doubt really that this guy is probably going to stay my number 1 for sure. I don't know what the heck else could come out that would top both just the functional actual goodness of the figure and the just the overall meaning it has for me as a collector personally. So thanks guys for sticking around for my super long video. It took way too long to go through all of that, but again, I love everyone in the community. Obviously I love Dan Larson, who does Toy Galaxy, and the guys that work with Toy Galaxy. I love their videos. Just J Hernandez, Bill Morrow Toy Mechanics, Shartimus Prime, Anthony's Customs, so many different reviewers that I watch, and just toy customizers, collectors, reviewers that I engage with that make the hobby so much more special. So credit to all those people who've kind of inspired me to just be more present on YouTube and just talk about the stuff that I love. So appreciate all of you who stuck with me to the end of this hour-long freaking video. Gosh dang it, I took so long. I'm sorry, but thanks for joining in and just sharing the hobby. And I really appreciate you guys. Follow me at Figure This Customs on Instagram if you're not already. That's where I post all of my custom work. I'm always working on something, so go check that out if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, guys. You guys really make this hobby that much more special. So God bless, and go be yourselves.